Hello and welcome to the Money Tree. I'm David Holt
I'm David Marks.
and we are the Dueling Davids.
Yes. That's a good way to put it. Do you
We-
play instruments?
I do.
Okay.
You play the radio, right?
I do sometimes. It's not very
You play
well.
a guitar, don't you?
I can, but I'm not always sure that it's tuned correctly.
Well, I can't help you with that.
I
We're not here to talk about music. We're
No.
here to talk about money and finances, and we're certainly glad that you tuned in today to the Money Tree. This was a brainchild of my wife. We were riding down the road talking about potential shows to bring to Mountain Valley newspaper.com and to Farmers Telephone Channel 6, and she said, why don't y'all do the Money Tree?
And
David's smart enough, and so
No.
I'm just the helper to help the money guy.
well, I don't know if I would call myself the money guy. So,
He
but
is
but
very
Cheap.
frugal. I wasn't going to say cheap. Very frugal with his money, and I need to learn to be better at that. Since I'm the older David and he's the younger David, maybe the younger David can teach the older one how to do better.
So, where would you develop? You think what part of life do you think you would develop a savings habit, or a cheap habit, as I might call it?
Well, we tried to instill that in our children, you know, when
Yes.
they were younger, like birthday money. When my wife was really good about putting it in a savings account. When I was younger, my brother and I, my mom and dad, I'll never forget. I know this is really, I hate to say, we had these great big blue pigs
Okay.
that we always put money in. And we got so much in there, Mom would make us count it out. We'd go to the bank and put it in the savings account. So you really start with your children at a young age, but you have to continue that and hold them
Yes.
accountable, because if you don't, it's just like us today. If you didn't think there would be a policeman around the corner, you would probably speed everywhere you went.
That's true. That's very true.
But when you see a policeman, what do?
You slow down. Hit
You
the
slow
brakes.
down. So you got to hold people accountable to
Well-
savings, just like speeding.
Sure, well,
Tickets,
I
yes.
actually drive more like Pawpaw. I'm like 45. There's been times I've been coming home from work in a 55 going about 40.
No way.
So I don't pay many tickets. There
He
you go.
needs one. Watch for him, policeman, and make sure he goes the speed limit.
Right, there we go. So now I'll get a ticket for going too slow. So
Okay, we're here to talk about retirement and money, and so Dave, take it away.
All right, so here's a question I have, and I always like to open up with a question. Today we
Great. You're
first
making
want to
me
know.
feel like I don't know the answer to these.
Well, it's good to ask questions, right? If
Okay.
you don't ask questions, you'll never know the answer. But we want to cover a few things today. We want to talk to a generation that may be fresh out of college or starting a career, who's looking at things like 401k. What
My
that
mother,
term means.
let me back up to say, my
Sure.
mother would say, and has said to me, my brother, and my children, you need to find a job with benefits.
Yes.
Would
So-
that be the same thing?
Yes, 401k would be part of the benefit package you would have. Of course, we still fall under this as educators, but a lot of companies have went away from pension plans. So we're going to talk about the difference in a pension plan and a 401k. And
There is a difference.
There is a difference. There's a big difference. We're also going to talk about an IRA, not IRA. It's not a name.
Individual, I don't know what that stands for.
Retirement
Account.
an
Hey.
individual retirement account.
Context clues.
That's right. Well, you know, the man is educated. So we also are going to talk about savings, which is
We're
probably
supposed to have that.
you should. You should. And we're also going to talk about the different ways to have savings.
Okay.
Because if I say savings, what do you think?
How much is in my pocket?
How much is in my pocket, or what change I can dig out from under my car seat, right?
Mine's in a little ashtray, but
Well, whatever.
because I don't smoke, so mine's in a little tray.
Well, there you go. Whatever works. So, do you know what is a good amount to be saving? If I said, now we can look at this, let's look at this on a monthly basis, because when we operate a budget, we typically want to operate month to month
Okay.
as a
Now,
household.
you know he's wanting you to develop a budget.
Yes.
And I know that'll be a whole nother show.
That will be a whole other show, and we're actually going to take some time for those who are buried in their debt, that we help them work through that. Now, the disclaimer needs to be said that if you're buried in your debt and you watch what we say and you do what we say, we'll try to guide you and lead you down a path to get you to financial freedom. However, if you don't like what we say, then you're probably not going to like our ideas.
Well, his ideas. I'm the
My
slow
ideas.
one.
Yes, my ideas. And we'll break that down.
Okay.
We really want to help you out. We want to help you find financial peace both today and down the road.
And that's what we're here for on the Money
Absolutely.
Tree. We're not experts. We're just normal, everyday folks, you know, just like you. and I'll be the one asking lots of questions because I want to make sure we all understand what we're talking about. So, retirement accounts. Now, some of you that are the younger group, and my sons are both there, the millennials, we call them.
Yes.
They change jobs rather frequently.
Yes, as a matter of fact, most people in probably my parents' generation maybe had 5 to 8 jobs and had maybe 2 careers in their lifetime as far as being established with a company. However, my generation, and especially the generation of millennials coming along, they may work for 18 different places.
See, that's crazy. Well, I don't want to say crazy. That's hard for me to understand because I went straight from high school to college, straight to being an educator, which I've been doing for 33 years. So I don't understand this concept of I'll do this for a while, and then I'll go do this for a while, and you know, I want to keep moving and trying new things. But that's okay as long as you're planning for
those days to come. Yes, and I'm a consistency person. I was raised, and I believe that you find a job, like you said, with good benefits. You find something stable, because I like knowing month to month what I've got to have. You know, not everyone works that way, but they'll have probably 7 to 8 companies they'll work for throughout their career. And so there's a big difference in that. So what we want to do is we want to help both groups get ready for one day when they can sit back and kick their feet up, as my choice would be either with sand and water or with grass and water, and be by some water somewhere. So that's my plan.
You can put a bucket out in the yard and you
That,
can have some
well,
water
you know,
with your fire pit that you can put out
that is
when
true.
you're through.
It's like, you know, put the fire out. So I would sand and water may be the ultimate goal there.
Yeah, we can always go visit in the summer and
True.
come back home in the regular wintertime.
Just don't tell everyone in the family where I live. That might be bad.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get started first, and let's talk about savings. And I'm joking about that. Any family would be welcome to come, well, for the most part.
He says that jokingly, but he's really serious.
We might disclose that
let's-
information.
savings.
Let's
go
talk about savings. So, savings is something that we think about typically is when you were a child or when you were younger, your parents would carry you to a bank and they would say, all right, we're going to help you open an account and we're going to put money into your savings account. Now, this is something that teaches good fiscal life skills to a child, but it's something that we haven't always done a good job of translating over as an adult. So if I said, okay, we're going to have a savings account, where do you think you would start with that account?
Well, it's your local bank, probably.
At your local bank, very good. Now, of course, digital world has changed everything.
For you. For me, it's still the old-fashioned way.
Sure, okay. So you can go to your local bank and you can say, all right, I want to open a savings account, and they're going to say, okay, that's great. When you reach this amount of money, or some may not make you have minimums, we're going to pay you an interest rate. What do you think the interest rate on a savings account would be right now?
Very low, like maybe 2%, 3%.
You're way too high.
Really?
You're way too high. If you have money in a bank account and you're under $5,000, the average is around 0.67.
Really?
Yes.
Might as well put it in a jar in the backyard.
Well, and bury it, right? So there you go. Then you've got to get the metal detector out, and it's a long
Find this.
afternoon. That's right. Bad choice. So let's talk about savings. You know, people who are a younger generation, millennials, may look at online banking. Of course, some older generations may not trust that at all. But you may get a better rate with some online banks that may be, are you ready for this? 1%.
Wow.
1%. So savings is something that you're going to use that's going to be for everyday emergencies. This is something that you're sticking back that's going to be, hey, in case the washing machine tears up, because that happens, in case a water line bursts.
You need a new set of tires.
You need a new set of tires. That is one of the best examples, because we know tires are not cheap. And most people who are starting out especially live paycheck to paycheck. I think we've covered before that it's about 75% of homes, 75% of homes in America live paycheck to paycheck. So when those tires go out, they typically have to put that on a credit card, which is going to be 16% interest or more. So it's going to be a heavy hitter. So we want to make sure that you're putting money into a savings account. And it's always best with a savings account to start out small. Start with $1,000. Set that goal. You know, finances is not something, we do not think that you should have $25,000 initially in your savings account. That's not the way to go. So set a small goal. Maybe your goal is 500 and it takes you a long time to get that 500 in there, but you have that rainy day fund. I would also say that after you get that $1,000, that I would take another $1,000 or so and put in cash somewhere safe. Now, when I say safe, that literally can mean a gun safe or somewhere safe storing for your cash.
Or a safe deposit box at the bank.
Right. Well, I do feel like that, while a bank is good, it is important to be able to put cash somewhere that's accessible, because you never know what's going to happen. And I'll give you a great example. When the tornadoes came through years ago and we had no power, banks were not willing to, a lot of them, open their doors and let people take out the deposits or take out withdrawals because everything's on computer. So you're not having to keep $20,000 in your mattress. That wouldn't be wise. Mm-mm. What you want to do is you want to keep a small amount of cash, like I said, up to $1,000, somewhere close by that's handy, because you never know when you might need it. On top of that, after you build up that $1,000 in the savings account and you've got a little bit of cash stored aside, I would then start working on what I would call my half-year reserve.
Okay.
So I would take, a half-year reserve, what do you think that would be?
Well, I think in one of the previous shows you said a salary we started with $35,000. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say 17, 18,000.
Sure. Now that's going to take a while to work towards, mm-hmm. right? Okay. It is going to take a while to work towards, but we're going to talk to you today about how that you can try to start working towards that, even if it doesn't quite fit into your spending and monthly budget.
Okay.
So that's our first thing we wanted to cover is savings. Now, it is my advice that if you are earning money, the first person you should pay, now I believe in tithing, and I believe in giving 10% to the church, but I also believe you should pay yourself.
That's what you work for.
You're working for yourself. So the numbers we're going to work with today is 12%. The question I ask you is, what should you be saving? I would say 12% would be what you're paying yourself every month.
Okay.
So that first of that 12%, we're going to take 4% and we're going to put it into our savings account.
Okay.
That's going to be a very good starting point. And of course, if you make $100,000 a year, then 4% would add up very fast. Mm-hmm. But you're also working towards that half-year salary. So now let's move on to the next part. Let's move on to what we started out with saying. Your parents taught you try to find a job somewhere that has benefit package, mm-hmm. which would consist of a pension plan or a 401k. Before you would invest in your 401k, though, I would not say do that immediately. Now, with the state of Alabama as a teacher, did they give you the option?
They did for me.
They do not.
Really?
They do not, that I know of. That we did not either. I did not have that option. So what the state of Alabama does is they look at me and they look at you and they say, hey, 7.5% of your salary we're pulling out and putting into a pension plan for you. So I didn't really have that option, and that's okay. I'm okay with that because one day when I do retire, I'll have that money to fall back to. But if you work for a company, let's say you go get a job with Holt Company Incorporated. It's a big company, a lot of people, private jets and everything. So you go to work with Holt Incorporated, and they offer you a benefit package that has a 401k. But you have student loan debt because you went to college to be a salesman and they've hired you as a salesman. Do you think that you initially want to go ahead and start dumping money into your 401k?
I would probably want to get out of debt first.
That would be the first thing. That would be the smart decision. You would want to make sure that before you start pouring money into your 401k that you eliminate as much debt as possible. Because remember, we're not talking about just looking down the road. We're talking about how to give you financial freedom today. So eliminating that debt makes it easier. Now, the great thing about 401k plans and pension plans is they're usually pre-taxed. The negative thing to a 401k and a pension plan is that you pay taxes on it when you take distribution of that. Mm-hmm. Yes. So if you are working for Holt Construction Incorporated that does pool parts and everything else that has a private jet, then when you start putting into your 401k for later on, when you take those distributions, you're going to be paying income taxes on those distributions.
You got the benefit ahead of time by not paying taxes on it when you were squirreling it away, but now when you're pulling it out to spend, you got to pay taxes.
You've got to pay taxes. So if we can, we've got a slide here that shows you a little bit of the difference between a pension plan and a 401k, and we'll take a look at that for just a moment. A pension plan is a retirement plan that requires an employer to make contributions into a pool of funds, and that's what we said that educators had here in the state. Mm-hmm. So those pool of funds are invested. Now, they can be invested by the entity on whatever they would like to invest in, whether they be market or index-based, or whether they decide to buy a sewer system and charge people money. You know, investments can come in any way with those entities. So those investments are then given back to the worker after a set number of years based off a certain ratio. All right, I'll let you cover 401ks if you'd like to.
Well, I don't know a lot about them, so I'm gonna have to defer to you.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
But I would imagine that there are additional savings plan besides a pension that you can invest in. You squirrel it away before taxes, and then you pull from it. Is that correct?
That is correct. Most companies now, and even a lot of government entities like education systems in other states, have actually went to 401k plans.
Rather than the pension.
Rather than a pension.
And I believe is that slide 3 we were looking at?
That is slide 3 that we're looking at, yes.
Yeah.
And the reason why that they have is because it has been more fiscal for those entities to go to a 401k versus a pension plan, because sometimes bad investment decisions are made in pension plans and people lose their entire retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So a 401k was a safe bet to go because most of those are going to be market or index based.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the stock market, like for the last couple of days, has taken a hit, over time it does show a return.
And that's the thing about stock markets, you want to stay in for the long haul.
Yes.
You can't come in and out. You got to stay in.
Yes.
Isn't that what I've always heard?
That is true. That is true. Now, I am a day trader. I typically will buy and sell stocks every day, but it's on a very low end, and it is money to me that might be the same thing as someone's golf money or someone's,
You
petty.
don't call it mad money?
Well, it probably is mad money. The last couple of days, it has been make you sick to your stomach money. So, I've lost a couple in a couple of days, and that's the chance you take with the market.
Does it keep you up at night when you lose $1?
Not most of the time.
God will get you for lying.
I know. Well, I said not most of the time. I do sleep
He's
sometimes.
very frugal, let me say again. And I won't say the C word.
Cheap word, yeah.
But frugal.
Right, so back to the 401ks, is what they'll do is they'll take that money and they put that money, it is your money. Like a pension plan is pooled into this big
pot.
big vat of,
Mm-hmm.
of retirement monies there. A 401k is going to be your money. And what they will do is they'll hire a firm, some investment firm, to take that money and invest it for you. So you want to make sure, A, that your company is working with a trustworthy company that invests that for you. And B, you should get statements on that. So if you have a 401k, you should be monitoring that 401k pretty closely.
And don't you have the option when you put it in the stock market to go on a conservative or an aggressive
Absolutely.
type?
Absolutely.
Or is there a third option for
There-
bonds, or is it just the
Well,
two?
well, what you're looking at there, the stock market is vast of what all you can buy on the market and what all you can invest in. Most people who have a 401k probably do not have money tied up into individual stocks. They're going to own funds, and we're going to talk about those in just a few minutes. Another good thing about a 401k that a pension plan doesn't offer is matching. So a pension plan is paid into, and so after you pay into that pension plan, they tell you when you work here for 30 years, we're going to give you a certain percentage of your salary for the rest of your life. To where a 401k, you may say, I'm going to contribute 4%. Remember, that was our number we were looking at there.
Mm-hmm.
And your boss may say, or your company owner, Mr. Holt here, may say, well, that's great. Our company will match up to 4%. So what you're actually doing when you start contributing to your 401k is you're paying yourself a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying yourself a bonus. And that can really pay off in the long run, and we're going to try to go over what that might mean for you in the long run. So 401ks are great. They're very good. Now, they're elective salary deferrals. Do you know what that means? If I said it's a deferral, elective salary deferral.
It means you don't pay taxes on it to start with, but you pay taxes when it comes out.
It is, as we've said before, it is a pre-taxed item. So the money will be taken out of your pay before you pay taxes. So when you pay taxes now, if your gross income was $50,000 a year, but you contributed 4%, then you may show a salary of, let's just say, $48,000. The reason why is because when you go to pay your taxes, you're not going to pay the full $50,000. It's been taken out. Of course, we know that there's other things that are pre-taxed too.
Mm-hmm.
But that would just be an example. So that money hasn't been taxed, and as we know, Uncle Sam
wants his money.
He always loves to have tax money, and that's necessary. Look, you know what? Paying taxes is something that we have to have.
Mm-hmm.
We want roads.
We want police protection, fire
do.
protection, these kinds of things. You got to pay the taxes to have those government assisted or government funded securities, I guess is the best word.
It is. You know what? I want to lay my head down at night and feel safe in Henniger, Alabama, where I live, and thank goodness we have a military that does that and provides that. Tax money has to be given to pay for that. So now let's move on to another big item here, and this is going to be something that is near and dear to my heart.
You say it quite often, a Roth IRA.
Yes. Now there are two different.
See, I have no idea what a Roth IRA is. So it's an individualized retirement account.
It is.
Why is the word Roth in front of it?
Well, I'm not necessarily sure. I believe it was attached because of the person who started the program.
Kind of like the Mark's money you
Kind of like
had
Mark's
back years
money.
ago?
Yes, kind of like Mark's money. Now, you do have individual retirement accounts, which there are two different kinds you can have. You can have a traditional IRA, or you can have a Roth IRA.
Okay, we're going to learn something new today.
Okay. What do you think a traditional IRA might be?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's good. Traditional IRA is an individual retirement account that you can count towards your taxes.
Count toward taxes?
Yes. So when you go before April 15th and you're sitting down and you're looking over your taxes, you may qualify for a deduction on your taxes because you have contributed to a traditional IRA. But when that money is taken out, just like a 401k or a pension, you have to pay taxes on it. That's why I'm a very big fan of a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA is great because you can't count it on your taxes.
Okay.
But when you take distribution, you can get the money and your gains tax-free.
So you're paying on taxes in front?
Yes. So
that's the major difference in an IRA and a Roth IRA is pre-tax versus
post-tax? That's pretty much the major differences in the two.
Why don't they just call it pre-IRA and post-IRA?
Well, Roth, I guess, was just a better word. I don't know. They didn't call me and ask me when they decided to name those.
They should have.
I might have named it the David IRA.
Yeah, that would have been great.
That would have been awesome, right? He agrees with that. So with a Roth IRA, and we have a slide to pull up here, Roth IRA is an individual retirement account allowing a person to set aside after-tax income for a specific amount a year. Now, again, we've set a 4% benchmark here for this. This finishes out our 12% that you're paying yourself. But now a Roth IRA has limits. You can't say, all right, I make $200,000 a year and I'm going to contribute $8,000 into that IRA.
You can't put that much?
You cannot put that much into it. Do you know what the cap is on a Roth IRA?
I do not.
The cap on a Roth IRA is, are you ready for this? $5,500 a year. So until you reach age 50, the most you can put into that IRA is $5,500. After age 50, it takes a big jump to $6,500.
Wow.
So you can put in an additional $1,000.
And it's just a savings account that makes money.
It basically is. Now there's going to be different forms. You asked me about the differences between traditional and a Roth. Another difference in the traditional and the Roth is when you have to start taking your distributions of funds, because a Roth is going to require you to take distributions by age 70. So they're not going to let you just
start pulling it out at 70?
Yes, you can. So you're going to be able to sit there. Now, the monies can, of course, be given as a trust also. So there's different ways to look at that. And I think I said traditional. I think I said that right. Traditional has to be taken out by 70. Roth, you can sit on and let that baby ride until you die if you want to, and pass that on. So let's get back into there's other differences, but I just wanted to bring up that one other difference. Let's get into this now. With a Roth IRA, if you go to a company, the company that I used to work for when I did this for some time, when you go to that person that's going to be your broker and you say, I want to put money into a Roth IRA, they're going to give you two options, basically, and they're going to say, well, do you want to have a fixed rate IRA, or do you want to have a variable rate? So which one do you think, if someone was sitting down with you, would you think you would want to do?
If I were younger, I would take the variable. But the older I am, I would take a fixed because I want it to be there. I don't want it to all go away if the stock market goes bad things.
That is a great answer. I mean, that's a great answer. After age 50, I would recommend you looking at a fixed. That way you're guaranteed your money. after or before age 50, after you've just started working, I would probably say that you want to look at a variable rate because your possibility of having good gains is going to be greater. So let's look at this. At the time that I was doing this, of course, the fixed rate is going to be based off of, just like savings accounts, it's going to be based off the Federal Reserve, the money that the rates they offer. So at the time that I was doing this, if someone come in and wanted a Roth IRA, their fixed rate was 1%. When they invested up to $11,000, then it took a graduated scale to like 1.35. And they could get up to 1.75 after they reached $25,000, which, as we know, would take 5 years roughly because of the amount you can invest. So you're not going to see a great gain out of that. However, you are guaranteed a rate of return. So to have a Roth IRA or traditional, you cannot take out that money before 59 and a half.
Okay.
And the reason why is, of course, that's tax sheltered money. If you take it out before 59 and a half, now you can if you have a medical emergency or a family emergency. You have to, of course, file for that. But if you take it out before 59 and a half and you don't have a specific reason that's listed in the law of what an IRA is, you have to pay penalties of around 30%. And that can really add up. You're taking, so the Roth IRA is a long-term goal, just like your 401k is a long-term goal or your pension. And your savings is that money you should use for emergencies that happen. So you wait till 59 and a half and you take out that money. How do you think you would take that money out of the Roth?
How you would take it out?
Yes.
Not sure.
Not sure? You can do it different ways. You can have monthly distribution or you can have a lump sum.
Okay.
So let's just build this scenario here, because I love to do scenarios, that you have paid into your pension plan, which you have a little bit of money in your savings, and then you have your Roth and you're age 60 and you're looking at that threshold of getting ready to retire.
But I can't be on full Social Security benefits, so I want to supplement.
Yes.
I got you.
And you are $30,000 away from paying off your mortgage. What would be your best option there?
Ooh. I don't know. You tell me.
I would recommend taking that money out of your Roth.
Just paying it.
And paying your mortgage off, yes.
And cutting your monthly expenses down to something you can manage.
Something you can manage.
Hey,
yes.
I'm getting better at this.
You're figuring this out. Very good, very good. So the Roth IRA is one of my favorite things just because it does provide you with that tax-free gains. Now, if you do a variable rate, then you need to make sure you're with a good manager who's going to invest your money in what I would call strong mutual funds.
Now, do you get to choose your person over it? Because you said when you meet with them, the Roth IRA, so that's someone local that you know. Yes,
that's someone local that you know. That's someone who would have a Series 6 and 63 license that is able to sell you funds. So this is someone who could come to you or I, and they could say, and my manager does a very good job with mine. I feel confident in him, and of course I make some of those calls myself. But we look at mutual funds and we try to make sure that we find the funds that are going to give us gains.
And the whole purpose of what we're sharing with you today about pensions and 401ks and IRAs and Roth IRAs is to help you in the future when you get to older age.
Yes.
And you want to retire from working, or there's some reason you want to retire, you've got some money to supplement your income and make sure you have a nest egg to keep you at a level that you're comfortable living.
Yes. If you invest 12% of $35,000 a year, and you do this over a 35-year period into a 401k, into your savings, and into your IRA, you'll have $519,384 in 35 years.
You have been listening to The Money Tree, and we hope you'll tune in again. We appreciate all the people who've liked our Facebook page, and we hope to see you
like
again
it more.
next time.
Like it more. Comments below.